This is the modern day Formula One sim.
Coming up on this episode of Stay on Track.
I want to get wowed by the drivers. I think the people that watch it, who are sitting there on that grandstand at turn 9 and 10, want to be wowed by the drivers and wowed by the speed that those cars go through that corner.
They're slowing down before they get there, which is freaky, and it's sort of disappointing.
Even if we were having a race together in 10th position, we would be happy that we'd had a bit of a ding-dong on the track.
We need to keep people entertained for an hour and a half to 2 hours watching a race. And if nothing happens in that, then they're going to walk away.
Your brain says, whoa, this is far, this is too quick, this is mad.
Yeah, it's a bit like a night out, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like, oh, what the hell? And then you pay the price tomorrow.
You haven't seen us since before the first race.
Or heard from us.
Or
some people aren't watching.
Indeed.
Some people are just listening. Some people aren't listening at all. Or watching.
More importantly, yes, exactly. But we had a few predictions.
Well, we had to guess, didn't we, what to expect. Everyone was guessing, what the hell is this going to be like? What is 2026 going to be like? We hadn't even had a race. But now we've had two, and we can get stuck into it. But we made some very interesting predictions, Johnny, didn't we?
Front to back.
Yeah, so the front to back, so the fastest car to the slowest car, we reckoned was about
3.5.
3.5 seconds. And what was it in actual fact?
I'm not 100% sure.
It was around that. It was close enough. So I think we scored a
I was going to say, were we spot on? I think we were close to being spot on.
So come to us for your predictions.
Yes, exactly.
Mystic, Herbert and Hill.
Who did we say was going to win the race?
Oh, that was an easy one, wasn't it?
That was an easy one. That was George.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it slightly wrong with China, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in a moment, yes. And I suppose the last thing was after all the testing in Bahrain and stuff, it was the prediction that, were they sandbagging Mercedes-Benz? And they certainly were.
Yeah, I mean, their last run in Australia of George's lap, I mean, he was incredible. They just literally went round and round, didn't show their hand at all. And then out of the blue, 7/10 faster than any one lap from George. But, perfectly timed. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I guess they were running a load of fuel.
I guess they were doing, they could be doing all sorts of things. I mean, crikey, there's so many different ways to disguise your performance these days. But in any case, they didn't show what they had until the final moment when it was too late for anyone to respond. But Ferrari are a good surprise, aren't they? Because they're sort of in the frame. Bad surprises are really Red Bull, the issues that they have, and also McLaren, obviously a massive ball drop there in China. But, my initial reactions, I was doing some commentary.
I was armchairing.
You were armchairing. Yeah. So what was you turn on the race starts. What did you think?
I was quite pleasantly surprised with the entertainment factor that we saw with Ferrari and Mercedes and the ding-dong that we had in the first sort of couple of laps. So that was something that we haven't had for a long, long time. So that was something that the whole point of these rules was to make the racing better.
Was it? No. I don't think the point of the rules was to make it. Are you saying that was the main objective?
Well, it was one of the objectives.
Because I always thought it was the objective was to get to net zero. So in other words, to increase the hybrid factor, so that the electrical batteries, so that the cars are more sustainable or more. Isn't that the objective?
Well, but that's part of the idea of trying to make it better. I know there's been a big push to make it as green as it possibly can, and it has moved it in that direction. Mm-hmm. But for me, I always remember the way the rules were done was to make the racing better.
I think
that was an important part of it at the same time, to make the entertainment better as well. What does everybody complain about for Formula One? Well, there's not much overtaking going on. Everybody complained when there was DRS. Oh, it's fake overtaking with DRS. But the overtaking, the racing, it wasn't as much as people wanted, and that's where the entertainment comes into it. So for me, I think the way the cars, let's just do the cars, take away the technology, the cars actually work very, very well. They do seem to be able to race each other.
You mean the chassis? Yes. The narrower, lighter cars?
The whole package of the chassis seems to work much better. And as we saw, which we come to in China, there is a much better chance of these guys racing in the corners themselves. And I like that side of it, because I think all of us, you included, would be happy, even if we were having a race together in 10th position, we would be happy that we'd had a bit of a ding-dong on the track. Doesn't matter if it's for first or second, because we enjoy the racing aspect as drivers as well. And I think that has come into it.
I mean, they were pretty busy, weren't they? So I reckon I was watching the race and I was thinking, normally you expect after 3 or 4 laps the cars to start stringing out and having to kind of find their own space and stuff. But they were still at it 12 laps into the race in Australia.
Yes.
And even in China as well, which is a very different circuit layout. And one of the things I think that on reflection, one of the things I've noticed about this formula, and yes, there are objections. I understand that when you look at a car coming up to, was it turn 9 in Australia or some of the flat out corners,
the big thing.
They're slowing down before they get there, or they get to the end of the straight and they're not barreling in on the last second, hitting the brakes, with 150 metres before the corner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're slowing down before they get there, which is freaky and it's sort of disappointing.
Yeah,
and
it's sort of wrong, actually.
It's sort of wrong. So there is definitely some tweaking to do there.
Yeah.
So that was a distraction. But one of the possible gains here is to do with the fast corners, because they're using the long corner to charge the battery. They're not on full. They're on full throttle, but they're not actually
going anywhere.
They're not on the limit. So this is where the Alonso quote about the chef could drive comes in. But then there is a benefit here, which is that the racing means, well, the benefit, the unintended or the unexpected benefit, I think, is this, which is for years, these cars, our Formula One cars, you have not been able to get close to a car in front in a fast corner.
Sure.
And that means when you get to the straight, you're too far behind to get past.
Yes.
Now, because they're not on the limit, they can stay closer to a car in a long, medium to fast corner. So they're much better positioned to attack when they get close. I know they've got all the boost buttons and all the rest of it, but I think that's why the racing was extended in the early 10, 12 laps of a race. And I think that's a good thing, because when you go to some circuits, they're processional. They used to be processional because the cars couldn't get close in the fast corner. Now there's not the issue because they're not actually on the limit in the fast corner.
No, yeah. I think that was a load of toffee coming out of your mouth. It's...
what do you think I'm doing? Do you think I'm trying to find? I'm clutching at straws.
I think I think it's just trying. It's all about the rawness of the driving experience. Now we're doing it from a driver's.
You realise I'm an
perspective,
ambassador, don't you?
I'm an ambassador as well.
You can't talk to me like that.
Ambassador. Well, no, you can talk to me like that.
I'm
if
not
you wish
got
to.
toffee coming out of my mouth.
Exactly.
That's very unkind.
Hence seems to be something to do with
That's chocolate. That's not toffee.
No, I know it's not, but it's sort of a form of it.
Come on then.
It's a bit tacky.
Hit me. Come on.
Well. The problem is from a driver's perspective, it's all about us being tested and us wanting to push those boundaries of that limit of that car.
Is it though, Johnny?
Yes, it is.
Make your point.
Well, it was. Yes, okay. Of course it is. Well, you do turn 9, and I would do 2 things about turn 9, because you could see the difference between 2 different cars, one that was on overtake mode or boost or whatever it may have been, and the other one was harvest. And the difference in speed was huge. Now, visibly, you'd be able to see that. And especially through 9 and 10 in Australia, it's a wonderful, massively quick left, flick on right, and accelerate down.
It still was quick.
But it's not. It's
and
not
some
right.
People
it's not
overtaking around the outside and stuff.
Well, there's your point. Round the outside of turn 9.
It looked good.
Come on. Yeah, it looks good, but it's not the proper test of an overtake.
Well, the proper test is so. Okay,
we saw that. We saw that when we
Yeah.
went to China with Lewis and Charles.
Okay,
that was proper sort of wheel-to-wheel racing, and them having to decide and place the car to make it work, rather than having the boost that sort of gives you the overtake. But I'm purely talking about the speed. I want to get wowed by the drivers. I think the people that watch it, who are sitting there on that grandstand at turn 9 and 10, want to be wowed by the drivers and wowed by the speed that those cars go through that corner. Yes, they're still quick. They're nowhere near as quick as they could be or should be, because that's the test of really getting the very, very best in a qualifying lap, for example, if it's George, as it ended up being, compared to something like Arvid Lindblad, for example. There is always going to be the difference between the very, very best and the very, very good ones. And it's that was sort of lacking a little bit for me, especially the high speed, because the high speed makes a difference. And I do one thing about high speed. Nigel Mansell, always remember, told me about a Rouge at Spa, the old Rouge, where he'd get all prepared for qualifying. He'd go down the hill, his foot would be flat to the floor. It was just about flat if you got it absolutely perfect. Your brain says, whoa, this is far, this is too quick, this is mad. But you have to say, out of the way, brain, I am keeping my foot through this. That's the challenge. But if you take that away, then it's either easily flat because you're just going that much slower.
Well, it will be
what's the point?
Won't it?
Yeah, but what's the point?
They'll be slowing down before they get to the Rouge. Yeah, and they'll be charging the battery all the way up to
Yeah, exactly. But then that's the bit I sort of thought, well, we've lost a little bit of the element of what it's about.
I totally agree.
From that point of view.
That to me is anathema to what Formula One should be.
Yeah,
they should be going hell for leather right up to the point where they have to brake.
Yeah.
Now, and also the fast corners have to be a test. I agree with that. Yeah. So I'm thinking another Nigel Mansell moment. Let's say, and I can never remember how it's pronounced, but it's the Peraltelda or something.
Peraltelda in Mexico.
In Mexico, round the outside of Gerhard, was it?
Yes, it was.
I mean, that wouldn't happen.
No.
Well, but it sort of did in China. No? I mean, Lewis was going around the outside in some of the medium speed corners. Some of the it looked fast on telly.
Well, when they had their sort of not coming together, but when they were sort of racing together, they weren't under any sort of harvesting or anything at that point. They were just actually under the car itself. And it was great. So it worked perfectly from that point of view, yes.
I think there were some massive benefits, but we've got to get back some of the ability of the drivers to stay flat all the way to the end of the straight and also to outbrake each other. Yes. Now, here's a quote from Helmut Marko, who is, obviously I don't know whether he's
sitting in his armchair now watching.
He's back in Austria, watching in a pub somewhere. There were no real overtaking manoeuvres in the sense that one driver was later on the brakes or came out of the corner better. Yeah, I think that's sort of true, isn't it? But it looked, I mean, they were kind of sitting ducks, weren't they?
Yes.
If they got overtaken into corner, it's because they had to harvest more than the other guy who's on boost. But then that was part of the intention of the regulations, to be able to provide this opportunity for drivers to drive tactically using extra power rather than just DRS. And I thought that provided some entertainment, because we can't tell when we're sitting on the side of the track, we're on the side watching TV. Yeah. We can't tell. What we can see is a car is approaching at speed, and there's going to be a pass. And that's entertaining enough in itself for us, because there's a change of position. So that's significant.
And there has to be an entertainment. I know there's a question about, is it about racing or is it about entertainment? Well, actually, it's both at the end of the day. But we've probably lacked a little bit of the entertainment. We've had those great battles with Lewis and Max during that year for the championship. We've seen it with Senna and Prost and et cetera, you and Michael. So we've always had those moments, but it's trying to create those moments more often. Then I go, well, if I watch a football match, they're not all fantastic. They're not all 5-0 and a brilliant, 4-4 draw or whatever in the last second of the game.
It happens in its own accord.
They are very boring sometimes. There's 0-0 and the game was absolutely rubbish.
Can have fantastic...
Rugby's the same. It's a lot of sports are the same.
Okay, but the point is this: is this sport supposed to be there to satisfy just the drivers? So, in other words, if it was down to the drivers, you and me, Johnny, right, when we were racing, what kind of cars do we want to drive? Because we're talking about driving, and we want to. And I'm guessing that you wanted to drive the McLaren with the V12 engine. The
fastest,
the Ayrton,
the fastest one.
You want the fastest one, but also you want that thrill of going berserk in a racing car, don't you?
It was being tested. I think we spoke about this before the season started. It's about being tested ourselves, but actually driving something that is like, this is out of this world. But there is the challenge from that point of view. But if you haven't got that ability to race, which is something I did when I was karting, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I know Lewis mentioned about that as well. It was like going back to karting with his race he had with Charles. And that's something that is very important from a driver's perspective as well. Dominating and winning, it's lovely, but it's not really testing you to the level that I think Formula One should be at. But is this, with these new regulations, is it a different tool set? Yes, it is. It's a different skill that is needed for it. Is that a good thing? Because the driver's got to sort of think out the box a little bit differently. Is that a challenge in itself? Yes. So it's that sort of balance that we've got, I think, that can it be fettled? I know there's talk about change, isn't there? And I don't know if that can help. Maybe we can get a little bit more harvesting and maybe have a little bit more battery power in there, because I know when you use the boost button, for example, literally you're overtake, but you'll be done for the rest of the lap because you haven't got any battery power in there because it hasn't been able to harvest quick enough. So,
but so are we going to admire a driver who uses that tactically better than someone else?
I think we should.
Not fair that's part of the sporting part of the equation.
Yes. Yeah, it's the mental thing, isn't it? It's the mental capacity of the driver who has a better ability to absorb everything that's going on and then adapt it to make it more positive for him. So those are there. Is it the rawest form? No. Have we had the rawest form? I think when we raced in the 90s, it was pretty flat out the whole way through. Lift and coast, never ever did that, except when we raced at Le Mans, for example. That was the only time we did that.
To save fuel?
Yeah, to save fuel. Was it there in the initial turbo era? Probably, because they were sort of always on the edge of running out of fuel. So that was different. But in the 90s, there was none of that. It was literally pushing ourselves. There was always a tyre part of it where we had to look after it and try and get it through. That's still there, but that's all part of the whole bubble of what a driver has to do.
Is it about relevance to road car use? I mean, if you go back to the very beginning of Formula One, it was what the manufacturers, they wanted to race because they wanted to prove their product was better than other people's. And it literally was, if you had a Bentley and it won Le Mans, then you're going to, you've proven that car is reliable. That was the biggest question about, is this car going to be reliable or not? So they raced them to destruction and it was flat out all the way from the beginning to the end. And then at some point, they started to bring in regulations either to do with safety or some sort of relevance to road car use. And maybe you could say, they were always talking about like safety belts, for example. Actually, safety belts came in before they came in on race, or maybe they didn't. I don't know. About the same time, safety belts were shown. So Formula One was showing itself to be a good test bed or promoting road safety. Let's say we can save your life if you wear a helmet. Not that anyone should drive around with a helmet on a trip.
That was it.
So safety belts, and then people like Frodo would get in there with showing that their brakes are better because people used to take their cars to the garage and they'd want to know what product to use. So, and that sort of slowly became a test bed, and people like Ford came in to show that their brand of engine was better and so forth. So there's always been a connection between, and now the manufacturers, although there's electric vehicles, as we know, the electric vehicle thing seems to have kind of hit a buffer a bit. And so a lot of the manufacturers, even if they're electric car manufacturers like BYD in China and stuff, are producing hybrids now.
Yeah.
So they're not going pure. So it was going to be, at one time, everyone's going all electric.
Yeah.
And now it seems to be, and F1 decided at the beginning of all this, they decided hybrid actually is probably going to prevail.
Yeah.
And so the hybrid push is tied to the interest from manufacturers in Formula One.
Yeah.
And the FIA have gone, okay, we want to attract whether it's Audi or Ford or whoever, because they're going to be selling hybrids.
Yes.
And they want to be able to show that their technology is better. So Formula One is being used to push this technology, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, if it was just left to the drivers, you and me,
it wouldn't be
Max Verstappen or whatever, what car would they want to drive?
It'd just be a fully combustioned, loud.
They wouldn't care about that. No. So we'd want. I mean, I remember going to see Brands Hatch qualifying in the turbo era, and it was one lap in qualifying with 1,000 horsepower, and the engine would blow up before it crossed the line. You remember? Yeah. And so I can remember watching Piquet going around, and we went out through the back of the track at Brands Hatch, and there was. We knew he was coming because we heard the tannoy saying, and he's on his lap, and then we heard this brrr, brrr, and you were it still makes my hair stand up on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Because you could sense this ridiculously powerful car was going to destroy its tyres, going to destroy the engine and possibly the driver.
Yeah.
But it was very exciting to watch this one lap. And then they decided this was not helpful because they were blowing up engines everywhere.
It was rocket fuel as well, wasn't it?
And
the fuel they were using was
I mean, there was a big black cloud
dangerous.
that came out the back of the car as it went past.
Well, the Ferrari, I remember the Ferrari mechanics first turned up with masks and sort of canisters because they were breathing in this poison effect, and then that got banned as well. Rightly so.
So there was a point at which it was hedonistic, if you like. It was just purely for the extremeness of it. I mean, I can't remember her name. There's a girl who's got the record for funny cars in America or something, and a quarter mile. It's something ridiculous, like 2.9 seconds.
It's
like
madness.
I mean, it's nearly 3 seconds for a quarter mile. They're doing 300 miles an hour as they cross the line from a standing start.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. It doesn't, but it's not per second of enjoyment.
No, not
I don't know how you measure it, but I think so. If you go just for pure performance, I'm not sure that you're going to create the holistic entertainment and the interest that Formula One has always had. It's always we've had a new broom, if you like, coming in. Liberty coming in and saying, okay, there's an entertainment factor here.
Yeah, and there is.
And we cannot just watch. You cannot sell a race where somebody shows how absolutely brilliant their car is or how fast they're going. That's not enough. Totally there needs to be competition.
Yes.
Wheel-to-wheel action. Now, the first two races have provided that in abundance. There's no getting away from it.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, Lewis jumps out of China and goes, that's the best racing I've had perhaps ever. Kimi Antonelli, not Raikkonen, easily done. Kimi Antonelli has won his first ever race, and he's the youngest pole sitter ever. It's the start of a new career, a name that may last a very long time in our sport, and he's not complaining about the formula. Arvid Lindblad in Australia, he's never raced in Formula One before. What's he saying about this formula? He thinks it's great to be in F1.
Yeah.
He's an amazing.
They're still the ultimate. At the end of the day, they're still the ultimate cars. It's just in a different format.
And interestingly, Lewis has been rejuvenated.
Yeah.
He did not like those ground effect cars. And lots of teams didn't like those ground effect cars. They were, I beg your pardon, the Venturi ground effect cars, as Adrian would say.
Yeah.
And they looked awful. I didn't like them.
No.
They looked awful.
I looked at, yes.
And these cars look better.
Yeah.
So the chassis, as you were saying, that as far as the chassis goes, big step forward.
Yeah.
As far as all we're talking about really is this sense that there's something very artificial going on to make the racing exciting.
Yes.
Which we don't like, and a lot of the drivers don't like, because they think they're playing Mario Kart. Supercars. I mean, Carlos Sainz said something as well. It's not, it's not in the DNA of F1. This is not what they're not getting the kick.
No, they're not getting the kick
from driving.
No, that's
I would say I was getting entertained.
Yeah, well, and then are the fans getting entertained at the end of the day?
I think it's 50-50.
You would think, but they are getting some entertainment from it rather than a bore fest of nothing happening and just being dominated by one.
I think the Chinese, the fans in China, you could hear them.
Yes, you could hear them when something was happening on track.
Something exciting was happening, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Now, how that came about, whether it was because of some, your batteries run out or not, it really doesn't matter in a way. And I come back to the point, we're not here just to satisfy the drivers. The drivers...
I agree.
Sadly...
Well, I tell you what, who are the most important ones that we should be focusing on? It's the fan. To me.
No, I don't think it's just one or the other.
Well, if it isn't for the fan, but if it isn't for the fan, we don't have the sport, and they don't have their wonderful wage packets that they have.
Yeah.
If it isn't for the fan, now if you'd have a bore fest of a season or a couple of seasons, people are just going to go, can't be arsed with that. I'll go and follow another sport. So that entertainment factor, I think, is very important from a fan perspective. Yeah. Especially now we've got this younger generation coming on board as well, because I think they have that. They want that entertainment to be a part of their weekend. Whoever they support in the car itself or the team they support, there has to be that entertainment. And I think it has edged more towards them having some entertainment.
Yeah. So this is the limit. So everything's bound by limits, isn't it? It can't just be Mario Kart. It can't just be simply a joke kind of game race.
Yes.
It has to have something authentic to it. And so Carlos's quote is this: that this sport is called Formula One. The Formula One that they thought was good for Formula One is not adequate and needs to be changed. He's fairly well, he's a fairly sort of mature guy. He thinks carefully about what he's saying. He's not. No one wants to slag the sport off because we got off to a reasonably good start. It just needs tweaking.
Yeah. And
the question is, what can they do without reversing too much on this platform that they've nailed themselves to, which is the 50-50 battery
split
and fuel split.
Yes.
And so I think that
some of it.
That must be. It's Formula One. They should be able to change it.
Well, I think they just need to be able to somehow sort of allow them to have more ability on the harvest and to put in more of the kilojoules into the battery pack, and that would just so they don't run out as quickly as they do at the moment. Now, does the boost button work from a racy perspective? In some ways, yes, because it depletes the battery very, very quickly, and then you get sort of the re-overtakes that come onto it. Is it too extreme? The overtake button something we could probably maybe work on to just use that?
Well, these are all crutches, aren't they? So what they do is they have a normal situation is after 290k or something, it starts to reduce the amount you can recharge the battery. Yeah. Because otherwise there won't be enough to go around the whole
thing.
And so if you go beyond that, you're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul at some point.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is phenomenal. The technology is phenomenal. When you think about the amount that they're charging the battery up and then discharging it per lap.
Yeah.
I had to fill my electric car up the other day, and I had to kind of plug it in. I'd done about 90 miles.
Yeah.
I drove up to Silverstone, and so I charged my car up, and it told me that I had added 35 kilowatt hours, and I'd gone from about 50% to 80% on my car, and that cost me 30 quid. So I was trying to do the maths. If they had to stop at the fast charger to fill up their cars, what they'd be spending on electricity, but I couldn't work it out. So if anyone out there can do the maths for me, that'd be brilliant.
It's just tinkering with that electrification side of it to make it work together for the better of, one, the driving experience, but secondly, actually the challenge that the drivers will have to overtake, which then benefits the fans at the same time. So you're right. I think it's just a little tweak that we need, and it's probably going to be more down to how we can get that battery pack to be more, have a better ability to sort of store that little bit more, and then it's going to have a better life in a lap than in a race. I think that's what we've got to do. And you did say about the relevance to road cars. The harvesting in many respects doesn't really link to a road car, because you never go quick enough to do a proper harvest to be able to really put any energy back in.
So the amount you're harvesting, basically if you're harvesting whatever it is, 350 kilowatts or whatever, then you're driving too fast on the road. So generally speaking, I thought it was exciting, possibly more exciting than
I thought it was going to be from my side.
Well, definitely more so than I thought it was going to be. I didn't know what to be.
No, I didn't
expect.
Frankly,
I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, but I was a little bit concerned about cars slowing down on the straight.
That's
my a safety concern.
It's my bugbear. Yeah.
Because when you've got the early laps of the race, cars are very close together, and they don't know whether the person in front of them is going to be suddenly slowing down or not. No, that's a risk I don't like.
I like the starts as well, because they're quite unpredictable at the moment.
I'm glad you said
that.
And
I like that. I think that's a good part of.
Well, it always used
to
be. I mean, I know it is. Obviously, Colapinto showed us his lightning reflexes, avoiding Lawson there on the grid in Australia.
Yeah.
And Max had a nightmare start in China.
Yeah.
Now, but if you look at last year, they'd got the starts down to a T.
Oh,
so the point was, when these lights went out, everyone went together.
And
there was hardly anything.
No, and that was always part of racing in all the younger formulas that we did, all from what I remember in the 70s and 80s and probably 90s as well. There was always a bit of a difference with drivers, with the way that they applied the clutch to get the revs right to accelerate. And we've sort of got that unpredictable side of it back again. I sort of prefer it because I think there is that
there's jeopardy there.
Yes.
And also there is this advantage that Ferrari knows. We've got a disparity between one mark and another about how they're getting off the line. And
that's good.
So that adds, I mean, people are, I think it's been great. I mean, yes, there's an increased risk, but then, you have to say the safety improvements in Formula One are so much that maybe you can add a bit of jeopardy in there and just for the entertainment.
You got sympathy for the drivers?
Listen, if you were to say to me, you're not, I mean, they took away Bridge Corner. Do you remember that?
Indeed.
I know. And then, I mean, I also didn't like when they moved Blanchimont, when they moved the barriers away.
No, me too.
I liked it with the barriers.
I liked it when the barriers were there.
So there were some, I mean, and the Lesmos, they changed those. I thought they were great. So
130R.
There's a lot of corners that have been neutered already on tracks. And I always thought they were very much part of the thrill of driving.
Yes, that goes back to what I was saying. Yes.
And so we've kind of gone down a safety first route with some of the corners in Formula One and the circuit designs where there's not been great corners to get your teeth into. But that's for our enjoyment. And the question is, how much of an enjoyment do fans get? I think they used to marvel at the bravery of people like Nigel. I mean, do you remember when Jacques Villeneuve went round the outside of Michael Schumacher in the last corner at Estoril?
Yeah.
That was a long, quite fast, increasingly fast, 180 degree, not banked corner. And he went round the outside of him.
Yeah.
And that was a brave move.
Yeah. Or Michael and Mika in Spa.
And
yeah, when they were coming up to Zonta, I think it was, and they both sort of went each side.
Yeah, but that was on a straight.
Yes,
so it
but
wasn't
but it was just but I'm just saying that was part of the wow.
I mean,
the wow factor,
the famous Pujon corner at Spa, they're saying now that'll just be a recharge opportunity.
Yeah, sure.
And that's a bit of a shame.
Yes.
But totally. I mean, in all truth, when we're watching on TV, we won't notice whether they're going, we can't really see plus or minus a second or two.
It's funny you say that. My wife says they look slow. It's quite.
Now we're in trouble.
Yes, but I was quite surprised that she saw that. But I think it is just that difference in speed.
Yeah.
Where then you go, well, that's slow.
Well, you're not going to see, as I did with my own eyes, Ayrton Senna going through Bridge Corner with a V12.
Sure.
And this car is trying to get away from him, and he's trying to keep the pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
And he's just manhandling this thing through as it's trying to chuck him off.
Yeah.
I think that would be a big loss if we never see that again.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I think it could be a fine tweak thing that could be done using the technology that you already have.
Yeah.
But
as it is now, I'm not fully behind it, but I'm sure there is a way of making it, dragging me on board much more, because I think it's not far away from being very, very good, actually. So yes.
And it does seem to be that the drivers who are having the worst time of it competitively are the ones that are most vociferous about complaining.
But that's human nature, isn't it? That's classic. You're in a good car, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And something that's not so good, it's rubbish. So I'm not surprised with those comments. But there's always been.
I don't think they enjoyed. I think they didn't really enjoy driving the Venturi cars, the previous regulation cars.
Sure. No.
They'd get out. In a race, I didn't know actually how hard they were pushing. And sometimes they get out of the race and if you talk to them, they'd admit that they were driving to a lap time.
Yeah.
And they weren't really on the limit. I mean, it was 7 seconds or something off of the lap time, their ultimate lap pace, but they couldn't go any faster because they'd be routing the tyres. So were they even enjoying those cars?
No.
They didn't say so that loudly last.
But if you talk about the tyres and degradation of tyres, that's always been there. It's always been a part of it, except probably the Bridgestone era with Michael and Ferrari, where it was literally a qualifying lap.
Michelin's.
Because the tyres is Bridgestone. But where the tyres were so good, you could literally do all that pushing all the way through the race.
Well, we had fuel stops. So basically the problem with fuel, so the reason we got rid of refueling was because if you've only got 40 kilos of fuel on, there's not much difference between that and low fuel.
No.
But if you're going to stop after 25 laps, and you're basically going to start, the grid will be arranged according to the ultimate pace of the cars.
Yeah.
And then the race would just be a copy of the qualifying.
Yes,
effectively.
And the overtake, if there was an overtake, was done in that pit stop.
Had to be. Yeah.
It was never done on the track.
No.
So it was the ultimate, because you just push, pit, push, pit. But there was no racing.
So the brief for Pirelli was, we want you to produce a tyre that degrades.
Yes.
And because we don't want this, we don't want to have a race that is exactly the same result as qualifying. We need to have need to have a flux in the race. Something needs to be, and it's artificial, because if you go back to the early 60s or even before the war, the races were 3 hours long.
Sure.
They were endurance races, and they people would come in the pits and lose 3 laps because they were changing the diff or something. So that was the unforeseen flexibility in it, and it wasn't live TV as well. So people would come and go, and they'd stand there, and they'd probably go off for a hot dog somewhere, and come back, and the race is still going on. And so now we're under pressure because we've got an audience. We need to keep people entertained for an hour and a half to 2 hours watching a race, and if nothing happens in that. Then they're going to walk away.
I way prefer this than what I remember with the refueling. I think this is more entertaining for me.
It was much more. It was
a different entertainment, but it was, as I said, it was all the entertainment was sort of in the pit stop itself with all the refueling, but the overtake on track was very limited amount of that. At least we're getting some overtaking now, which I think only benefits the sport.
It's controversial, but it was very entertaining when the car caught fire. Controversial comment.
Well, thankfully, I never. I did have that in
But people remember these things.
Yes, they always do. They always do.
Jos Verstappen and some of the mechanics.
Yeah, right. Changing the
I'm now
theme.
an ambassador,
You are.
I'm now doing what ambassadors do, which is tempting people with
I'm going to fight it. I'm not going to go for it because it just goes straight on my belly. So I'm not going to go for that one. Right. Standouts for you so far this season, drivers. Who's rocked your
standout?
Boat? Yeah, who's the standout? Okay. Who's the one you've gone?
That's I was waiting for
impressive.
in the first race in Melbourne. I was waiting for Lindblad to do a rookie error.
Yeah,
and he didn't.
No.
And I've got to say, I like what he's been saying. I like the way he carries himself. Some of the things he's been saying. He's not apologetic or anything.
Nope.
He's not. Fakely sort of humble to be there or anything like that. He's quite clear that he's been working towards this, and he's earned this place, and he's got a rightful claim on this drive, and he showed what he could do. And I thought it was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, and he comes across really well on the TV as well. Actually,
that's I think so. Really impressed with Lindblad. Obviously, he had a slight hiccup in China, but that wasn't his fault really.
Quick story about him. I met him when he was 14 or 15 years old. I think at Shennington Kart Club. Yeah. And I was sort of fiddling with my car. I needed the test day, so I was fiddling with my car. And as I'm rolling it out, he's rolling his out with all his Red Bull kit on and everything else. And he stopped and he went, "Are you Johnny Herbert? I'm Arvid Lindblad." But it was that confidence he had at 14, 15 years old, which we're seeing, come through brilliantly. So, yeah, he's got a lot of... I've been very impressed with his whole journey all the way through to Formula 1. A bit of a tough time last year for F2, but he seems to be more than competent at being able to drive these cars. Brilliantly. It's really good.
Debuts go.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember one as good as that. I mean, obviously, Ollie Behrman's jumping in the Ferrari in Saudi was very, very impressive as well. And he continues to impress.
Yeah, I'm impressed with him as well.
And he's on it,
constant, he's consistent.
Yeah.
He's always in the mix. And I've been very impressed with what we've seen when he's last year.
Yeah.
And then that Ferrari sort of step in he did. But I've just been impressed with what he's done this year as well. We're very lucky. We've got some British drivers especially that are doing very, very well as well. And Hajar. So far,
very good.
I've been very impressed with what he's done at the moment. So,
I mean, of all the people to be able to cope with the Max Verstappen juggernaut, he's pretty much held his head up, hasn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
He's got he's He's not walking all over him.
No.
But he's definitely got his head above
But
water.
nor is Max.
You know? Yeah.
No. So, no, he's been very impressed.
So he's hanging on to his coattails quite impressively.
Yeah.
Because we expect people to get crushed, don't we?
Yes.
And so far,
everybody, yes.
There's no sign of that. So
no. Lewis.
There's a young driver called Lewis Hamilton who's discovered he's still got some youth left in him.
Really, really lovely to see, actually. I honestly thought there was that period where it wasn't happening for him anymore, and he'd sort of had his peak. And
well, he said he forgot himself, didn't he?
I know he went through a lot of
he really
difficulties that way. Sure,
got very down.
Yeah,
rebuilt himself.
Yeah,
he's back with a spring in his step. I think it clearly helps if you've got a sniff. I always said this: you give him a sniff of victory,
sure,
and suddenly you'll see a different guy.
Yeah,
but he does need to have a car that he can use, and he's seemed to be reveling in these regulations.
Yeah,
the way that the downforce is delivering the grip, the balance in the car seems to be something he can play with.
Yeah,
there's a lot of movement, isn't there? They're not on rails like they were.
No,
with the
I think I saw a comment where he said you can be more aggressive with it.
Yeah,
and with the ground effect ones, he didn't feel you could do that. I think as soon as you sort of got to that edge, you sort of fell over that cliff, and the thing was just very, very difficult to drive. So, but it's amazing how he struggled with that. He's adapted to this year's cars, but Charles was actually more comfortable even with the ground effect car as well, and he's still there or thereabouts with Lewis at the moment. It's amazing how a particular car's feeling within the cockpit can make such a difference to the way that the driver responds within that cockpit, and how the performances struggle.
If you look at, because we had quite a few regulation changes in the last 15 years or so. If you could think of blown diffusers, you think of double diffusers, Venturi, a hybrid versus normally aspirated, and all those changes. We have seen some drivers be able to adapt, and others not adapt to a change in the regulations. And I think that Lewis was what's the word? He was hamstrung. Mm-hmm. He was hidebound, or whatever the expression is. He was stuck with these cars, with the Venturi cars. He couldn't get the thing to work the way he wanted to. And I do think that there's such a thing as driving style suiting certain formulas,
absolutely,
different types
definitely.
of formula.
Yes, that's a big thing. And some drivers are able to adapt to that. And Lewis, I always thought, was one of those, to be honest. But it's just amazing how last year that was not the case. He was struggling big time. So he's adapted brilliantly. Kimi and George, been very impressed, obviously, both of them. Yes, they got the best car. Yes, they got the fastest car. Are they going to go to a race and probably lose it? No, only if there is a mechanical issue or something else. Because purely they're half a second. When they're clear of the Ferrari, they're probably half a second, 8/10 faster. Probably. It's the Ferrari's own.
I think that because there's this thing that they have to do, which is that if there's a differential with the power unit of more than a performance differential of more than 2%, then you can apply for upgrades. And Ferrari apparently have. So I think Mercedes are trying desperately hard not to show too much of what they can possibly do.
I agree.
Yeah.
Why would you?
So that's
Why would you?
In other words, there's an opportunity later for people to catch up if you've got too much of an advantage. So I still think that Mercedes, we're not really sure what they're fully capable of. So you said whatever it's 7/10.
It's something, but it still pops into the lap times, and you can see that when the Ferrari's around them and they're using their boost button, they're able to mix it with them.
Yeah.
But as soon as they seem to get out of the Ferrari reach, that is where the performance goes. Because actually the boost is not really a very good thing to use, because actually you suffer big time within a lap, because it just takes all the energy out of it and you do half the lap with nothing.
Yeah, it's a bit like a night out, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like, oh, what the hell? And then you pay the price tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's amazing seeing that there is that big differential at the moment. And Ferrari are the only ones who are probably close enough to be able to get that gap closed down. to be honest, because they've got a good race car.
McLaren. I mean, I think McLaren made a little bit of a step forward.
Where?
Well, I know they didn't
in China.
They didn't actually get to the grid.
No.
So, I mean,
step forward. Where's the step forward? I haven't seen it yet.
I thought they were a little bit closer when they were running.
Lando in
China.
Yeah. Well, Lando in Australia, obviously.
And I think there's a lot because you remember this noise they're making about. Mercedes aren't. The Mercedes running teams were complaining a little bit that Mercedes were not letting them know exactly what they're doing. So it's how you use it, not what you've got.
Toto said they haven't found it. That's all. It's there, but they haven't found it yet.
They haven't found it. So he's even teasing them and telling them you've got to look a bit harder.
Yeah.
We've given you the power unit. Now you need to find out how to use the deployment and various things like that. So I think McLaren will be getting there. I don't know whether they're ultimate peak is whether it's up with Mercedes. I don't know. Maybe they can threaten Ferrari a bit. But my point being, Oscar, spare a thought for Oscar. I think someone asked the question, who has ever started a season but not started after 2 races?
2 races, yes.
Not even done a...
Can't.
Yeah.
No, I can't think. So year to year, race to race, record. I know that. But I think it has to be. It's not the best record in the world, is it?
We can't comment on McLaren drivers because they haven't actually done anything yet.
No, sure. No.
But George, we should talk about because I think he delivered to perfection in Australia.
Definitely.
And he could have done, but he had a hiccup with the qualifying. Which held him up. So I think that I wasn't able to close the gap on Kimi in the race, but nevertheless, he's been pretty faultless, really.
Yeah. Very much so. And the wonderful thing for us as Brits, it's good. As I said before, we've got a good bunch of drivers in the top 10. Even I think there was quite a few of them in the top 10. Bortoleto. Well, just to finish about Kimi, because Kimi is going to come of age as time goes by, and he's only going to get stronger and stronger, and that's where George has really got to capitalise as early as he can. I think in this season, but probably over the next couple of years, because Kimi is only going to get stronger and stronger. The one issue I still probably have with Kimi, being critical, there are probably more mistakes that still creep in. But that's something I think you can definitely get rid of, and that comes with experience.
I might be wrong, but I think the only person to have won the championship in the second year was Lewis.
Well, he did.
Jacques Villeneuve won it in his second year. Okay, there's very few of them, but it's normally you need a couple of. Thank you, Johnny, as well for that.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of. It's usually said that you need 3 years of experience. Well, I think the thing is they get so much prep now away from the circuit.
Yes, that's a big difference.
That helps a bit, but there's nothing like being in it actually. And he went through a bit of a self-doubting phase, I think, last year, Kimi. So Toto has been putting the old reassuring arm around him and building him up. And I think now he's won a race, that will be. I think John Noble was saying, don't get big ideas. He's not going to suddenly turn into, he's not going to crush George, because George is quite hard to beat. And so, but he's in the frame now. He's got that. He's doubt, if there ever was any, in his mind.
Yeah.
That he can do it. He did a great job.
He's got one thing I think that is going to be very, very powerful. I saw a little video clip of Kimi last year, I think it was. Looking with his engine at the computer screen and everything else, and Toto sort of came in and was sort of talking to him, sort of saying, okay, just keep working at it, and he sort of gave him a hug, and he sort of started to walk away.
Keep that confidence.
Then he went back, and that's exactly what he said. Keep confident. Use the confidence, and then he hugged him and everything else. Yeah. The relationship.
I don't know if
they have.
Toto to hug me.
Huh?
I don't like.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine if Patrick Head hugged
like
me.
That. Oh, that's a different story. Bless Patrick. That's a different.
Hug me. I think there was something very wrong.
You'd never get a hug. No, you'd get an elbow and a clip around the back of your ear if it was Patrick.
Nigel used to hug as well. He's quite a hugger.
Yeah. I'm quite a hugger as well, which is quite good.
You break your ribs though.
That's going to be quite powerful to him.
Yeah,
and it's going to be powerful for Kimi to use all that energy that Toto's given him, because I know George is going to see that.
Yes,
I know that's going to be.
So this is
one thing he's got to fight through.
Yeah, that is the.
I know he's not doing it on purpose, Toto, but of course he has had that relationship for such a long time, and he wants it to work. But
what is it? Explain this one so that people listening understand what we're talking about. Because Kimi is Toto's protege, if you like. He's put his reputation on the line to get this guy in. Kimi doesn't want to let him down, but at the same time, he's thankful to Toto.
Give him a chance,
And Toto's delighted that he's now won a race. Meanwhile, George has been trying his very best to impress them for now, I don't know how many seasons, and it got to a point last year where they had to re-sign, and it went on a bit, didn't it?
You did.
So it was never any kind of... It wasn't like Toto was desperate to re-sign George. It was a little bit of Mexican standoff.
Yeah. And then I've heard little rumours again that with Max not being very happy where he is he going to be taken by Mercedes, which means they're going to get rid of George? I think
so. George is always temporary.
That's awful. Yeah, but that's awful, isn't it? That's awful. I know you've had that experience yourself.
I can relate to it.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm relating to this a little bit, but you it's almost as if you're standing there going, well, why can't you recognise what I've got? Why is there not the same fuss over my offering? So George is kind of left. He's got the opportunity now to win a championship.
Yeah,
but that's not going to guarantee him his future at Mercedes.
No, strangely enough, no.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Again, all you can do, as a driver, is do the best possible job that you can, and hopefully you achieve the goal of winning that world championship. And if he doesn't continue in that team, be proud of what you've actually just done, because that was the whole goal in the first place. And it's not helpful. And the story for Damon, for people who don't know, when he was going for the championship in '96.
Who?
Eh?
You're talking about me?
No, I'm just talking about you. About the story about you. No, about the story about you. It was Damon was going for the world championship. And about midway through the season-ish, something like that, you sort of heard through a journalist that they weren't going to be keeping you on for the following season.
Yeah, I always felt like I was provisional. But anyway, listen, I got what I wanted out of Williams.
You did.
And now
And
now I am a Williams ambassador.
Yeah.
So 30 years later, it all turned out okay.
Good.
But so yeah, well, do you want to talk about Williams? The car's too heavy. They need to fix that, and then they can go a bit faster.
Well, there's another car that seems a bit heavy as well, isn't there? You saw a little shot.
I don't know. I saw something. I didn't have time to decipher it, but there was something, maybe Red Bull a bit heavy.
Red Bull, it seems a bit, potentially. Yeah,
So we've done drives. Was there anyone else in there that we... Max Verstappen, so. Does he need to just shut up and drive?
In many respects, yes.
Yeah, you think so?
Because it's always very nice when you're in the best car. It's always a bit of a struggle when you're not in the best car. He hasn't had a bad career thus far. There is still many more things that he's going to be able to achieve in Formula One, as in another world championship or 3. But
diplomacy is not his thing, is it? He's quite.
Do you think so?
Well, I think. It's good. I'm saying it's good in that you'll always get you'll get an honest opinion from him.
Yeah.
He will say what he really thinks.
Yeah.
Only the trouble he's got now is that it does sound like, because he hasn't got the car that can win,
it's a bit of
if he moans, then
thing.
It's about that. It's not about the formula necessarily.
No.
And
I get it.
As an advocate for what Formula One, for what the drivers want from Formula One, then there is going to be, that will be taken on board, because what Formula One doesn't want is for Max to decide, I'm going somewhere else to get my thrills.
Yeah.
That would be a vote of no confidence in Formula One and where it's going.
Yeah. So that goes back to our tinkering. There is a way, I'm sure, of making it better.
I mean, if people ask the question, if it's about sustainability and net zero, then why not? If you've got sustainable fuels, why not just get rid of the battery and make it, normally aspirated, pure fuel?
Well, we're always hearing that, just to produce a battery is not sort of the cleanest thing on Earth. Just to mine the lithium and everything else that goes with it. So it's not the perfect. Well, we know that. Is a combustion engine the perfect world and perfect scenario? No, but it does have the right ingredients with the biofuel side of it to be more relevant, I suppose. and what you get back, which is something I know the fans definitely like. You remember in Australia when we always used to sort of do a little bit of talking, and then from behind us there used to be this F-18 or whatever the hell it was that used to come over about, seemed to feel like 50 foot above us.
The Hornet.
Yes, the Hornet was a Hornet.
The fighter jet.
Yeah, and the noise that thing made with it, and there was a wow to that. But I think there was always a wow with that fully combustion V10, V8, whatever it needs to be. And you're right, there is a argument that why don't you go that route?
Well, this is where I'm coming back to, drag racing or something. If you wanted to just entertain people, petrol heads, to come and hear loud engines and unbridled power and cars on the very limit, if that is what it's about, then is that the objective? There's another objective with Formula One. There's always has been another objective, which is to show that they're problem solvers when it comes to technical things. But the question is, how much does that damage the entertainment?
Yes, well, that's always going to be the key.
And also the mythology of the sport, which is that these drivers are heroes. These drivers are brave gladiators who are taking on the challenge of risking life and limb. I mean, that was very much part of the story up until about until maybe even Imola, after just the safety measures started to come in.
Sure,
but it's always been a debate.
Yeah, and there's always been good changes, and there has been some bad changes that have come into Formula One as well. I suppose the good changes, I think, was when it went from the original turbos to normally aspirated. I think that was a good change.
Part of wanting to be a Formula One driver is that you get to drive the cars.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky because I tested for Williams and I tested the active suspension car, but I also tested Nigel's 3.5 litre V10 FW14, I think it was, with the big rear tyres. Do you remember those big tyres were like
ones,
and they used to do this thing where they'd crease when you accelerated out of the corner at the last corner at Imola and stuff. They were like drag tyres, so basically they were dragsters. They were chirp, they kind of get that crease. You could, and they'd thump when you accelerated out of the corner. It was like the rubber was being thrown onto the road in kind of like, and then it would slip, and then it would hit it again.
Wow.
And you get this thumping, and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brilliant to drive, insanely powerful, very light, very good, well balanced cars. That was a big thrill. But I'm the one getting the thrill.
Yes.
I don't know whether the people watching getting the thrill.
No.
And as far as racing went, it was difficult to race.
Yes,
I mean,
it was. That's what I mean.
They were. You needed someone like Nigel Mansell to go around the outside of everyone the whole time.
No, sure. Is there a perfect balance? Not really. I don't think there is a perfect scenario.
I heard a commentator saying something which they probably shouldn't have said, which is, this is like Formula 3. It was so exciting. You're going to go, So, I mean, obviously,
but
in terms of racing, if you go to 125 motorcycles, the 125 or 250s, because they're so underpowered, and because they have to slipstream, they're always going around in a bunch. It's incredibly exciting. You could have 10 bikes going around the last corner.
Yeah.
Now, why is that not the most exciting formula of motorsport? Why is it MotoGP is better? Because there's something to do with the extra power.
Yes,
I think,
and the technology that goes with it
that makes us twig that this is exciting. Now, I saw these cars sliding and putting the power down.
Yes.
Whether that's because they got the torque from the electric battery, I don't know. But it was brilliant to watch, and I'm starting to see that now, and I haven't seen that for ages.
No, sure, no, and I want to see that actually. I want to see the drivers sort of being on the ragged edge, and that's something that I think it's a challenge for the driver, and then you have the gladiator wow factor on the in the grandstand as well. So it's sort of, I think it's not far away from being, the most spectacular maybe that we've sort of seen racing wise in a long time, because weirdly enough, like MotoGP with all its squats and anti-wheelies and I think traction control and everything they've got with it, there are a lot of riders who complain about that. They say it's not the soul and the essence of what two-wheel racing should be all about. So it's amazing that in all the different forms of racing there is always someone or some people that don't like the direction that it's going. Is it as raw Formula One as it used to be? Probably not quite. Is MotoGP as raw as it used to be? No. But the technology is something. I know the teams in Formula One especially always say we have to keep on pushing the boundaries of that technology. It shouldn't just stay put at one particular level and we stick with one particular type of car.
Now, this is one aspect that I want to get to the bottom of, which is this idea that they have that the cars are programmed by either GPS or something like that. There's an element of
I think probably,
the cars deploying, learning the track. So they're actually... The driver is not on top of that. That's not a choice, a driver choice. I definitely think that is something that you don't want to think. I mean, I think people admire the drivers because they think they're in control. And if they think that this is all pre-programmed, and that the computer back at the factory is controlling the amount of power that the car is delivering because it knows where it is on the track.
It's where it delivers.
Why doesn't it do the steering as well?
Well, it delivers in the perfect place.
Yeah.
And you want the driver to deliver.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be in the perfect place, but you want the driver to be the one that does take control of that element of traction coming out of a corner or wherever that deployment needs to be. Yeah, the driver should be a little bit more in control of that rather
I'm going to do some
AI and software. Yes, but I think you're absolutely right because it is definitely there because they always talk about it learns and it's learning. And one disappointment for this season, obviously losing 2 races, 2 Grand Prix as well. Of course, that's
we got to acknowledge the fact that the world is, whatever problems we've got in Formula One are really insignificant compared to what other problems are out there in the world, and it's impacting us. Losing 2 races, and we feel for the people in the UAE because we like going there.
Oh, that region, that whole region,
and the whole region. So, but it does emphasise one thing. We haven't quite weaned ourselves off oil yet.
No, not yet.
So that's a long way off.
You is long way.
But what we got? I'm off to Japan. I'm going to be going to Japanese Grand Prix as an ambassador for Williams. So
Lovely.
I will be keeping a close eye on what's going on, and I'll hopefully come back with some insights and information for our next podcast.
Start digging.
Johnny.
Dig when you're out there.
I will. I'll be out there with my. I'll wear a deer stalker and get a monocle or something like that, and go and poke my nose around it.
We'll bring it back next time. We can have a look, see what you found.
Do you know any Japanese? How do we say goodbye in Japanese? You spent ages. You spent most of your life in Japan.
Yeah, I know. I was in my combat. No, it wasn't combat. Konnichiwa. No, that's not Konnichiwa.
That's Konnichiwa is good night, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Good night.
Konnichiwa. Oh well. Anyway,
well, this is what they're all talking about. This is them racing.
Okay. So what happens if I throw something? How's that?
I'm just throwing it randomly.
Okay. Well, can I just say I'm absolutely flat out the whole time. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just wobbling.
I'm conserving energy. I'm just.
I've got so many little gold.
I'm saving all mine.
Oh, I've got
for when I get my boost.
Here I go.
I haven't got any yet. Oh, see, this is what's disappointing. When you need it, you don't have it. No, I've crashed.
And this is for small children, or is this for adults?
No, this is for adults. This is for more modern day Formula One drivers. Right. This is the modern day Formula One sim.
So what we're saying is that I've got a plant in my hand. Now something awful happened. What happened?
This is where
Did you throw something at me?
Yeah, well, I did throw. I don't know if it was at you, but.
So this is what we're suggesting.
Oh, hello. That was a bit of electrification, a little bit of a short.